Gullah means that you are a descendant of West Africans who were enslaved here in the Sea Islands, going all the way up from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, but primarily in our South Carolina Sea Islands.
They were brought from the coast of West Africa to the Low Country and enslaved in order to do the labor of the plantations that helped to build America.
It's the blending of all of those cultures that came together during the transatlantic slave trade that gave birth to this culture called Gullah.
Gullah is the most authentic African culture in America. We think Gullah came from the word Gola. The Gullah tribe were rice-growing people in West Africa, and they were brought over to develop rice fields.
One of the major reasons why we were selected from the west coast of Africa, especially those rice-producing countries like Sierra Leone, Senegal, Gambia, Angola, the Rice Coast, was because of our expertise in rice cultivation. We came here with specialized skills, and so we were assigned specific tasks, and if we completed those tasks, let's say by noon, then we had the rest of the day, quote unquote, as free time.
They were pretty much left alone certain times in the year, and so they were able to really practice the African way of life. And so it has sustained itself over the last 100, 150 years.
And so that's why you still see Gullah so prevalent in these areas as opposed to maybe in the upper state or other parts of the country.
Well, I die the day now for tell Huna something about my ancestor them. I can feel the presence there the day with me now, because I know it'll watch over me.
I grew up not knowing where I came from, or how I got here, and why am I being treated as less than a human. You know, our grandmother said, now the Buckra children go there. And don't look Buckra in the eye. She said, I can't go over there no for play with them Buckra them. We knew that the whites were different, but we didn't really know why. So it was just another day in the life of a little Gullah girl.
And they been here on these hallowed and sacred grounds, on this place we call ADOS Island, where I grew up.
Almost everybody that lived on this island were enslaved Africans, or Gullah people.
And the island had nothing but plantation, and all they call on the white gold, you know, the cotton and the rice and all the indigo.
The enslaved Africans had to find a way to communicate. So that language was pretty much born here in America.
God tell us now y'all can eat all the trees of the garden, but the day you eat that tree in the middle of the garden, that'll be the day you die.
My generation is really the last generation to have direct contact with Gullah-speaking people, and Gullah was their only language. And unless we pass it on to our children, then it will die out.
You strip everything from her. All the children that snatch out the arm, carry the baby this way, the mare that way, the pear that way. And they mean they had no sense of family at all.
We have to let our young people know about the struggle. We have to go all the way back to Africa, where it all began, so that they know whose back they're standing on. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my God and be free. And be free.
When we talk about the descendants of enslaved Africans in the United States of America, we often hear terms like Foundational Black Americans, or FBA, American Descendants of Slavery, or ADOS. But there's another group, one that existed long before these modern terms, a people who have preserved Africa's heartbeat right on American soil. They are called the Gullah Geechee, a unique cultural nation born from survival, resistance, and African genius. But here's the question: do the Gullah Geechee fit neatly into the FBA or ADOS narrative? Or do they stand apart from it? Let's find out. Firstly, who are the Gullah Geechee? The Gullah Geechee are descendants of enslaved Africans who were brought to the coastal regions of South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. They lived mainly on the sea islands, and because of their isolation from the mainland America, they were able to preserve much of their African culture, their language, spirituality, food, and family traditions. Their language, called Gullah, is a Creole language that blends English with African languages from Sierra Leone, Angola, and the Congo region. The Gullah Geechee keep African traditions alive in their farming, music, and religious practices. Even their cooking, dishes like okra soup, rice, and gumbo carry links to West Africa. In many ways, they are a living bridge between Africa and the African American experience. But what's more fascinating is that they didn't just preserve, they also created. The Gullah Geechee built one of the earliest examples of self-sufficient Black communities in America, maintaining their language, traditions, and land ownership despite centuries of racial oppression. During slavery, Gullah Geechee people were known for their expertise in rice cultivation. Plantation owners deliberately brought Africans from rice-growing regions because they knew the trade. After emancipation, the Gullah Geechee established independent Black towns, holding tightly to their land and community structures. But over time, they faced displacement from developers and coastal tourism. Despite that, their culture still thrives, especially through the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, recognized by the United States Congress in 2006. They are one of the oldest, most distinct African diasporic groups in America. So where do they stand in today's debates about lineage, reparations, and identity? The modern FBA and ADOS movements focus on recognizing the unique lineage of Black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States, not the Caribbean, not Africa, but right on U.S. soil. At first glance, the Gullah Geechee fit that definition perfectly. They are the direct descendants of enslaved Africans in the American South. However, there's a deeper layer. The Gullah Geechee maintained a direct cultural link to Africa, something many other African Americans lost due to forced assimilation. So while FBA and ADOS emphasize an American-born lineage and cultural identity, the Gullah Geechee identity blurs that line, reminding us that African culture didn't just vanish in America. It evolved, survived, and thrived. Some even argue that the Gullah Geechee challenged the ADOS and FBA narrative by showing that you can be both African and American descended, and that these identities don't need to be in opposition. Understanding the Gullah Geechee reminds us that blackness in America is not monolithic. Their culture shows how heritage and resistance can coexist. That African roots and American struggles form a single intertwined story. In fact, many Gullah Geechee communities today are still fighting for land rights, environmental justice, and cultural preservation, battles that echo the larger FBA and ADOS calls for reparations and recognition. But rather than contradicting the movement, the Gullah Geechee story enriches it. It gives historical depth, a living testimony that African descended Americans have been building, defending, and sustaining communities in America for centuries. So, do the Gullah Geechee contradict the FBA and ADOS narrative? Not exactly, but they do expand it. They are the living proof that the African American story began long before modern labels, and that within that story lies a culture that never forgot where it came from. This is the story of the Gullah Geechee and the keepers of the African soul in America. As always, thank you for watching. If you learned something new about the Gullah Geechee or African American history, please hit the like button, share this video with someone who loves learning about culture and history, and please subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one.